And we're on take 3. Good afternoon, Chief here for Chief Tells Tells. This is take 3. Take 1 was a whole second. I don't know what I did. I guess I hit the button too quickly. Take 2, I was being distracted by my cat. He was driving me up the wall sitting on my lap. So I'm going to talk about where I worked in Berlin, Field Station Berlin. I worked on was a man-made mountain called Teufelsberg. It was made from the rubble from the Berlin bombings that the Allies did, and of course some of the rubble was caused by the Soviet soldiers when they took over Berlin. And as I said last week, I talked to a guy that is actually one of the first U.S. soldiers inside of Berlin, which was quite interesting. So they built Teufelsberg out of this rubble, and the United States looked at it and said, good place for a listening post. So they put it on top of this mountain. Excellent view, but of course you couldn't see much because the building sat on top of this mountain. And it was near the Grunwald, which is the green forest, which had green pigs. They were quite tall. Now some people will tell you stories that, oh no, they're just normal sized boar. No, there were some that got huge. One guy got treed by a boar. He actually had to climb a tree to get away from it. He said it was taller than his car. My wife and I, we got spooked because we were riding our bikes, I think for a mids. Yeah, and the road had no lights after a certain point, so we were riding through this darkened road to get to Teufelsberg, and we heard the pigs grunting in the woods and scared the heck out of us because it was rather loud. And we also heard the thrashing of the bushes, and so we rode like all get out to get to work. Got a little spooked. What I did in Subsystem Papa I really can't talk about, because when I joined the military it was, oh, you can't talk about nothing for 25 years. But then as more and more idiots decided to sell themselves to other countries, it became life. So I can't talk about anything I did or what anybody else did. And I can neither confirm or deny what I did. I mean, you can ask me all kinds of questions and my answer is just going to be straight no. I can't answer that. I cannot confirm that. I cannot deny that. Because even in confirming or denying, yeah, you know the story. So this is also back in the day when the military hazing was still acceptable, but don't go too extreme. And we didn't. The worst case that actually happened there was after I had arrived, and we were getting soldiers like every other week or every week, and we get these fresh-faced kids, and so they got these 2 fresh-faced kids. One, they put latex rubber gloves on, the dishwashing gloves, and gave him a cigar box size package that was leaking because they sprayed WD-40 in the corner to make it look like it was leaking, had address on it, everything. The other kid was carrying the memo to all the subsections so they could sign off saying they did or did not need what was inside this box. What was inside the box was just little lengths of cable that our repair shop put through together, and then our admin office actually typed up a memo. It was really good. Even put it on stationery. So these 2 unsuspecting kids, one was starting to suspect, the one that was carrying the memo. So they walk into my section. I sat in the middle. I had three sides of me was what I call my racks, and I was in control of the area. I wasn't the senior person, but I was in control of what needed to be done. I would like to say so. What could happen and what could not happen. Better shut up. Like I said, I can't say what I did. So they walked in. Leaky box. I looked at it, looked at the memo. I didn't give it away. I'm like, oh, Subsystem Papa, let's see, memo says this is, I don't know what it said. No, I don't need these. So they walk out of my office. Well, here comes Sergeant First Class Lionel. That was his first name, I do believe. And he was the section sergeant for the day person, or the day beggars as we call them, the people that worked only 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so he came out and he's like, what was that? I said, prank, hazing. He's like, oh, okay, what was in it? I said, I don't know, looks like it's leaking. So he ran out chasing this poor kid, caught him in the hallway on his way to the MP desk. I think that was like their final destination. And read this kid a riot act. I mean, this kid was almost in tears from what Lionel finally told us later on. You know, he was threatening him, like, you know, why are you bringing such a leaky package into my office? It could be contaminated. We could all be irradiated. I mean, he went on and on and on, and this poor kid's about ready to cry. And then Lionel finally realized that, and then finally let the kid in on the joke that he'd just been hazed. So we did stuff. And we also did hazing amongst ourselves, mostly with carbon paper, because we had 3-ply and 5-ply of carbons, and of course when you separated, the carbon went into the trash, and this copy went that direction, this copy went that direction, and this copy stayed home, so to speak, or to the analysts, or that from the Daybaker shop, because they had to have that information. I'll put it at that. Treading on thin water again. So like I said, we put carbon paper and we put it on the armrest because we all rolled our sleeves up during the hot months, and it was hot inside there with the computers all running, and you know, you put your arms down on your armrest and you got carbon paper all over this. I caught a couple people. They tried to catch me. They never caught me. They tried to haze me a couple times, but thanks to my father and all the little tricks that he used to bring home, I would always be a suspect. So I was very suspect, and I never got hazed, so to speak. We did a thing called spurring, which is where you take a piece of paper, fold it up enough times, cut it, and you could literally make Western spurs. And then with some tape, you would spur guests that came into your subsection, or people that didn't work there. So you'd crawl across the floor. We had floorboards, so some guys would literally go underneath the floor, lift the floorboard so carefully, put the spur on the guy's heels, and then as these people left our area, we would start singing that Jingle Jangle song, because I don't want to sing it, and I don't want to get in trouble or copyrighted. Not that I'm going to lose anything, but yeah. So we would sing that song, and sometimes they would catch on, sometimes they wouldn't. Well, we had one big prankster. He loved to do it all the time. And we finally got this one visitor, and he says, I'm doing it. And everybody says, no, don't do it. This guy doesn't have a sense of humor. This guy can't take a joke. This guy's too important to embarrass. But he went ahead and did it. So he came back up out of the floorboards, and the platoon sergeant, or the section sergeant, walked over and talked to him and said, go get him. So he crept underneath the floorboards, and he got him off the feet before the guy left. He almost got caught because he almost stepped backwards where he was lifting the floorboards and pulled the spurs off of the heels of his. So that sort of thing went on. I mean, we learned a lot, we did a lot, and I really had fun. Everybody always says, oh, you'll always hate your first assignment. I loved it. I wanted to stay in Berlin, and I didn't have an opportunity to, and I wish I had stayed on longer. Because here's the funny thing. I left Berlin a year to the day when the wall fell down. And while I was in Berlin, that wall was not coming down. I'll talk more about that later, because I was there when Reagan visited. I was there when we put up the Baron von Steuben statue in Berlin. So I'll talk about those later on. And so this is Chief, worked in Subsystem Papa, SSP, time of my life. That's the only section I worked in the whole time I was there. And Chief out. Remember, freedom is not free. Thank a vet, hug a vet if you can. If not, Chief out.